see how this goes. This is not the way I hope to start the channel because this really hasn't been the best of seasons for Liverpool, has it?
Well, no shit.
Coming into the season as champions, there was always going to be a certain level of pressure on us, but just about everything that could go wrong this season did. I mean, seriously, the centre-back issue. Literally every fucker who was selected to play there got injured at some point in the season. It was like it was fucking cursed. So in this first video of mine, I'm going to break down how we went into the season, how we started, what went wrong, how we rallied, and where we go from here. Hope you enjoy it. We actually began the season with a certain level of controversy because we didn't really go out and significantly add to the squad, preferring to show faith in the team who had delivered the League, Champions League and World Club Cup over the previous 2 seasons. We did buy Thiago Alcantara and Diogo Jota though, and out of 2 of them, Thiago came in from Bayern Munich with a particularly good reputation and was seen as a real coup. Jota, on the other hand, was seen as an okayish transfer. However, after being linked with a big name like Timo Werner for as long as we were, it felt like a bit of a letdown that the club wouldn't spend 50 million on him and instead opted for a lad from Wolves. But the way the season panned out, it seemed as though the reverse happened between the pair. Jota turned out to be an inspired purchase, managing 9 goals in 19 appearances with a further 4 in the Champions League, as opposed to Werner, who only landed 6 goals in 35 appearances plus 4 in the Champions League.
Mine is not the reason why, mine is but to sell and buy.
Jota has definitely been one of the few success stories of this season for Liverpool, elbowing his way into the conversation of a previously unquestioned selection of who to pick up front. Unfortunately, injury held him back from adding more to his tally, and we definitely missed him as much as anyone when he was out injured. Thiago, on the other hand, seemed to be the player who was underwhelming as the season progressed. He wasn't a bad player by any means, but he clearly was not on the same wavelength as the rest of the team in terms of pace.
Don't worry about Tyrone. He can move when he has to.
Often slowed things down and also making rash challenges when out of possession. But I always have a rule with new players, and that is give them time. 3 to 6 months is usually how long I personally give a player to settle into his new environment, and if we don't see proof by then he isn't for us. I use the examples of Lucas Leiva and recently Minamino. Lucas came in as a 19-year-old lad from Brazil who not only left home for the first time but also left to move to a whole new country. In fact, forget a new country, he moved to a new continent altogether, and he was still a kid. At first, there were certain elements of the Liverpool fan base who were ruthless with him, and I'm going to do another video of this because if you can remember, Jordan Henderson received a similar level of treatment when he first arrived, again at the same age as Lucas, and again leaving home for the first time. This is what gave me my current opinion on giving players time, especially if they're young, because the management in Lucas's case stayed loyal and supportive to him, and he eventually became our player of the year by the end of his time at Liverpool. Minamino, on the other hand, is someone I did give time to and who I eventually just gave up on. 6 months came and went, and there was no big moment, no game-changing performance, no winning goal, no stunning cross, no 60-yard through ball that led to a big goal. Nothing. He wasn't necessarily a bad player, he just did nothing.
You're not much good to me alive, are you, Turkish? He's a useless shite, that boy. Punish him for me, Errol.
Well, okay, that was a bit strong. But the point is, time came and went for Minamino along with my patience. All we ask for early on is for you to show some glimpse that you'll become an asset later down the line, and we can be patient most of the time until then. We're not all expecting to hit the ground running and break records straight away like Torres, Suarez or Salah. Now, where this becomes relevant to Thiago is he became sort of an exception to the rule and its principle for some Liverpool fans. With the reputation and the Champions League experience that he had, as well as shining at a club of similar size and stature to Liverpool in Bayern Munich, you do expect to return a little sooner than normal. Instead, he lumbered his way through the season and seriously tested everybody's patience. But by the end, he was showing glimpses, scoring goals and producing top performances, so I will personally give him a pass, but I do expect to see better from him next season. Another signing who failed to even play much, let alone impress, was Konstantinos Tsimikas. Fucking word vomit. Not much to say about him really, and that's my problem with this signing. That's 11-12 million quid that could have been better spent elsewhere. Other than those 3, there wasn't much else added to the squad except from the youth academy. Curtis Jones and Reece Williams had a few notable performances, but Nat Phillips I think is the one who impressed everybody out of the youngsters this season. Like Reece Williams, he was thrust into the first team spotlight probably before he was ready due to the copious injuries we suffered through the season, which I'm going to get into later. But out of the 2 of them, he definitely impressed the most. Phillips has proved himself a real physical presence, and with the right partner can definitely prove to be an asset. I wouldn't have him as first choice next to Van Dijk, but if we do get a real partner for Van Dijk who can lead in his absence, I think Phillips can slot in as the physical presence next to such a player should Van Dijk get injured again in the future. I should probably mention at this point my disappointment at Liverpool not keeping the likes of Ryan Brewster, Harry Wilson and Harvey Elliott in the squad. I know not many fans are going to agree with me on this given how the season panned out, but at the start of the season I felt the first team squad was fine as it was, and any additions to the squad should come from the academy to start building the framework for the next Liverpool team once this team has had its day. Now, my reasons for saying this is when you've got a manager like Klopp who's obviously not going to get fired and may be tempted to stay for the long term, time. It's better to have a forward-thinking mentality and plan ahead for when the current players begin to age. Basically, we've got the privilege of being able to plan long-term, which you just so often don't get the chance to do in modern football because managers get sacked left, right and centre. Most of our first-team squad are around the same age and will probably be leaving us in the next 3 to 4 years. For me, I'd like to see youngsters coming through now as squad players to be mentored by the current first team in what it takes to become champions. Maybe give them a run in the side when we have injuries and just generally prepare them to take over for when it's time for the current lads to move on. I see the likes of Trent, who will definitely be captain one day and possibly leading a defence consisting of Reece Williams and Nat Phillips, while Curtis Jones and Harry Wilson begin to take over in midfield, and then the likes of Harvey Elliott and Ryan Brewster smashing it up front. I know right now only Trent and maybe Curtis Jones and Nat Phillips are ready to properly play in the first team, but I had hoped that Liverpool would have this kind of forward-thinking mentality. Remembering back to the days of Bob Paisley and Sir Alex Ferguson, who both planned ahead in this way, constantly producing new sides. Sadly though, it wasn't to be. Most of these lads have been either sold or moved out on loan, and we're now relying on the transfer market for replacements again. It's honestly sad to me to think that now with Gini Wijnaldum leaving, most Liverpool fans are looking around Europe hoping for marquee signing midfielders instead of wondering whether Curtis Jones or Harry Wilson deserve a shot. The first 3 games of the season were against newly promoted Leeds, who were welcomed back to the Premier League with all the hype that surrounded their return, followed by Arsenal and Chelsea. Leeds obviously wants to make a statement at the home of the champions on their first day back, as we were treated to a 4-3 thriller. First games of the season are always hard in my opinion, with every team having weeks and months to prepare for it. Although throughout my lifetime, Liverpool have traditionally been shit on the first day of the season, but thankfully this is something Klopp has actually put right. I think we've now won all our first games of the season under him, but though now I've mentioned it, we'll probably won't fucking lose or draw the first game of next season now.
Well done.
The next 2 games were really going to define our start of the season, as we had Arsenal and Chelsea, and thankfully we didn't disappoint. This is where I think most Liverpool fans believe we'd set the right tempo to defend our title. Having Leeds, Arsenal and Chelsea was a really tough start, and thankfully we made it 3 out of 3 so far. However, that was followed by the single most unexplainable match I think I've ever seen since Middlesbrough beat Man United 4-1 back in 2005. I literally don't know how to explain that Villa game at all. All I can say is I've been planning and designing this channel all year, and I remember thinking at the time, I'm glad I haven't started yet so I don't have to properly review this game, because Jesus Christ, stop. Thankfully this was only a one-off, but the media took full advantage of this and the day's previous results of Spurs beating United 6-1 by labelling the day Silly Sunday. However, despite that this would be our last defeat for 3 months and that we'd be 4 points clear at Christmas, you'd think that me saying things would only go from bad to worse would be a touch hyperbolic or a bit dramatic, to say the least.
Oh, shut up, you tart.
But no, the one thing that Liverpool fans have been dreading since January 2018 happened against the last team in the league we'd wanted to happen against.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
The 2-2 draw in the following game against our darling neighbours was overshadowed by their outstanding excuse of an England #1, clattering into Van Dijk rather than the ball for reasons only he can explain, resulting in the only reason we have a good defence injuring his cruciate ligament. And we would now be without him for the rest of the season. So where did that leave our title defence from that point on?
That's that then.
It just had to be Everton, didn't it? Of all fucking clubs responsible for fucking our season up, it just had to be them. However, that being said, we did make it 3 months to Christmas undefeated from that point on, with key victories against Leicester 3-0, 4-0 against Wolves, 2-1 against Tottenham and 7-0 against Palace, and we even avoided defeat against Man City away. By Christmas we were actually riding quite high, 4 points clear at the top of the table and looking destined to at least be in the title race to the finish line. But unfortunately it was after Christmas that we entered the most decisive and devastating phase of our season. A phase that literally saw us implode and is the main talking point of this video. Because it was this phase of the season that saw us not only capitulate in the title race but nearly cost us European football next season. Before and after this period we still played like a Jurgen Klopp team. Out of the other 24 games before and after this period we won 17, drew 6 and lost 1, scoring 57 times, averaging over 2 goals per game. Now, taking our chronic injury crisis into consideration, that's only a slightly and understandable dip on the previous season's form. Liverpool did not have a bad season overall. It was only between the 27th of December and March the 7th we had genuine problems, and it's this period between the 27th of December and the 7th of March that I want to focus on in this next section, because this really was a defining period of our season, and I think so many Liverpool fans have differing opinions over what went wrong. Between Van Dijk's injury, the injury crisis we suffered overall, the board not backing us, all kinds of different theories. I'm going to break them all down and give my own personal opinion on how this time period really affected our season. Gladiator... What the fuck did you read that out for, dickhead? You can tell I'm fucking new to this. It began against West Brom and Newcastle in late December around Christmas time when, on the back of a 7-0 thumping at Crystal Palace, we drew two seemingly run-of-the-mill games against what should have been considered cannon fodder, followed by a 1-0 defeat to Southampton. 2 points from an expected 9 was obviously the first warning sign. We sort of saved face in the following game against Manchester United by keeping a clean sheet and avoiding defeat, which isn't a win, I know, but given that we were clearly against the ropes form-wise, we were there for the taking. So not losing to a top 6 side and your biggest rival should have been enough to wake the lads up and get them back into gear. But no. What followed was a 1-0 defeat to Burnley.
You dipstick.
Now, despite the fact that this run of 5 winless games was followed by 2 back-to-back wins, including an impressive 3-1 defeat of Tottenham, this was where the shit really starts to hit the fan for our season because we lost 6 of the next 7 games.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
And what I'm going to give my perspective why. We have to start with Van Dijk's injury because this is the period where Van Dijk's presence was sorely missed. Now, I have heard the argument that he wasn't doing particularly well for us this season when he played. A few fans had accused him of getting a bit too big for his boots and his performances lacked the assuring efficiency of last season. But while I don't disagree with that opinion, I think one key factor is being overlooked in this assessment, his presence. There's no debate that he is the leader of our defence. I mean, he's reached a point where he doesn't really necessarily have to play well. His presence alone gives everyone an air of reassurance and we know it. I mean, granted, since his injury, we didn't actually lose a game for another 3 months and we're comfortably at the top of the league by Christmas. But that's because things were mostly running along smoothly and confidence was high. When things were running smoothly and confidence was high, we played like the old Liverpool, minus a poor defensive record, which was to be expected. When there's no reason to panic, there's little need for the leaders to step up, but when we finally did hit a run of bad form, that's when the shit really starts to hit the fan. It was when we had problems, vulnerabilities that other teams were exploiting and coming to play against us smelling blood when you need your leader to step up and hold the line. We did not have this at centre-back and this was a key contributor to the poor run of form. Yes, we still had Jordan Henderson playing until the end of January and for a time he was even playing at centre-back, but he's no defender. To inspire confidence you need to be more than just vocal, you need to do the job in a calm and reassuring way, and Jordan Henderson was not playing in a natural position. Playing in there made us look desperate and vulnerable, and that's because we were. It also didn't help that we kept getting injuries to centre-backs over and over again. I mean, we were seriously fucking cursed.
What is it with you and curses?
Van Dijk and Gomez were injured prior to and throughout this time period. Then key injuries to other centre-backs and other key members of the squad as a whole happened again and again during this time period to not only affect morale but also affect stability at centre-back. This included Van Dijk from October till the end of the season, Gomez from November till the end of the season, Matip from January till February, and then again from February till the end of the season. Nat Phillips was injured during February, Fabinho was injured between February and March, Henderson was injured in January, Alisson was out for a while between late December and early February, Jota was injured December till March, Keita was injured December till March, Mane from late December till early February. During the whole time period we couldn't allow 2 lads to settle at centre back and form a proper partnership together, constantly rotating, often playing midfielders or promoting youth before they were proper truly ready. Here's the full list of centre back pairings during these fateful 14 games and you can see what I mean by the fact that, you know, we just did not have any consistency or stability at centre back. That's 8 different centre back pairings total during those 14 games, not including the 2 games against Brighton and Sheffield Wednesday when we had to switch goalkeepers too. No consistency or stability at a key position during this period also played a vital contribution in my opinion. I'm going to leave the rest of the video for a part 2 because I want to get my stuff out there now. This video's taking me long enough already. You know, other channels have all done their end of season reviews and are cracking on with their stories of the day, and I want to get in on that too. So if you've enjoyed the video, if you like what I've had to say, you know, subscribe and, you know, like the video please. If you don't and think I'm just a fucking spoon and I should shut up now, then let me know. But either way, let me know what you think, and hopefully, yeah, I'm going to keep posting more videos, and let's see where this channel goes.